Hello everyone, happy to be here with you today. So we're going to be talking about a kind of data you might not have heard about before that can help big time breaking the silos between IT and business. So as intro, most of us do know that today's business is largely digital and applications are your storefront. What fewer people realize is that when I talk to bankers or to retailers, they tend to compare themselves with direct competitors. But for the mass market, the art of the possible is not the direct competitor, it's those big guys who do pretty well. Okay? Nice, easy to use, performant application to interact with whenever and wherever I want. As I said, today IT, digitalization as we say in France, is bigger than ever in terms of the money flowing in and the importance to the business. And as such, any problem can have a big business impact. At the same time, in growing in importance, the way it's done, the way we get that running, is absolutely exploding in complexity. So if you remember a few years ago, for some of you who are more into the technology side of the story, it was few physical servers with few applications. That was fairly easy. Get the job done. Today, when we talk about the buzzwords of clouds and microservices and IoTs and mobile and stuff, a single application, when you touch something on your screen, that can trigger hundreds of calls to thousands of stuff running in different clouds around the globe. It's a long, complex chain to bring that to life. And tracking of all that is super complex. But at the end of the day, if one piece breaks, you're still not delivering on the customer, and you might be losing money, bleeding money pretty quickly. So some people say, yeah, just give me data, I'll look at that, I'll make sure it works fine, I understand what's going on. So the problem is not to get the data. We, I believe, have a data overload. Is how do we understand the data and how do we make it actionable? And that's what I'll be covering today. The traditional approach I witnessed so far was what I called siloed data. So in the technology world, it could look like this. You would have some guys looking at some technology stacks, let's say the database, other guys looking at the network, other guys looking at this, other guys looking at that. And from their standpoint, everything's green. It's fine. And the problem we faced was what many people refer to as the watermelon effect. It looks green on the outside, but at the end of the day, there's a problem. It's red inside. The customer is not getting what he wants. He can transfer, he can buy, he's waiting 10 seconds for something to display. So that ends up in what we call war rooms, where loads of experts argue against one another. It's not me, no, it's you, finger pointing, and that can add up to millions a year. Because when you have 20 well-paid guys in the room, spending a few hours on a regular basis, and the system being down, it's very quickly quite costly. So the new approach I wanted to talk to you is what we call transaction tracing. So the idea is pretty simple. Instead of looking at all of those technical pieces in isolation, my database, my network, my this, my that, my whatever, the idea is as soon as an interaction starts, that can be human to machine and machine to machine, you start tracing where it goes and what it does and where it goes and what it does all the way. So there's no magic. The way we do that is by deploying agents that's going to spy on what's happening. You deploy them everywhere, and they can track that user action, for instance, on a mobile app. It can be a web app or a machine-to-machine call, called that server with those things, that server itself called those 10 servers with those things, and you see the full trace. And what you get at the end of that is as close as we can get to the delivered user experience. You know, end to end, it took 8 seconds. Is that good? Is that bad? You know your business. You need to decide, but at least you have the full end-to-end view, and you have got a visibility to which parts were involved. The other interesting aspect is, since those agents spy on the application and know about the supporting technical elements, Why should they only capture the technical health, the execution times, and those technical metrics? They can capture anything flowing through the app. Who's the customer? Is he a gold platinum user? How much money is in his basket? What kind of transfer, what he's trying to make? So everything is in the app. That's the place where you have the most semantics. That's where the data is consumed, is created. That's where you know all about it, because that's where you massage it, transform it, create it. And so those agents can capture all those elements at the same time as the technical health metrics we discussed before. So at the end, you can have that kind of a fake dashboards where you have at the same time the business health. Is that running fine from a technical standpoint? And the business health in real time. How many customers? What's the average transaction value? Are they gold, platinum customer? And then you can slice and dice the data along those axes. So in that fake sample, it was a blue-green environment. So, you know, for many companies, when they have ideas, the outcome is let's try them. So we're going to direct 50% of our users to that version, 50% to that version, kind of A/B testing, right? But here, you have the full technology and business view, and then you can make decisions. Okay, so we wanted to go this way. It chops from a technical standpoint. We've got a problem, and it has a business impact. So bringing them together is really important. From a business standpoint, I'll have further slides on how we can reconcile that. You have a high-level business view. Some business indicators go up and down, and I don't know why. And we can help answer some of it. For technology guys, it's the other way around. I do have technology problems. They always happen. There's no perfect world here. There's no free lunch. But out of those 150 problems, which one do impact customers? Which one do impact business? So which one should have the priority? And that's where we bring things together. So a quick pyramid view. I'm going pretty fast. Just to step back. For decades, we had monitoring systems collecting data, usually in silos, as we discussed. So that's not a problem. We know how to do that. We can easily... Do I have a pointer? No. Yes, I do. It's a no-brainer to collect billions of data points on virtually anything today. That's not the problem. The problem is, how do I make sense out of that? So what we discussed right before was that notion of business transaction. And the idea is fairly basic. It's just what we call tagging and tracing. When something starts, you just follow it along. Where does it go? What does it do? Make sense? And that allows you to discuss more at a business level, abstract away from the technology bits and bytes, while still having them. And if we go further down, I told you those agents can capture anything flowing through the app. Non-technical stuff, business stuff, customer name, what is he doing now, how much in the basket, etc. And that helps you, capturing that real-time data, go up to the business metrics and business outcomes. And these are usually used two ways. By the technology groups, the idea looks like this. This morning, I come to my job. There were 10 problems this night. How many of them impacted customers? 2. Okay. How many impacted revenue, the business? 1. Guess which ones should have the priority? Make sense? Okay. From a business standpoint, it's usually used the other way around. Okay, I can see this business metric going down. Is that because of a technology issue? Yes or no? We can say no, then okay, at least you know where to look at. It's not the technology. And if we say yes, then you can have a discussion with the business team saying, that tool told me that my business indicator went down 20% over the last hour. It told me there is a problem in application XYZ. It seems to come from this cloud or that data center, that stuff. You don't need to know more. When the technical teams take over, since we capture the full technical context, they will know down to the line of code, down to the database call. They will have all the needed context and detail to zoom in, understand, fix. Still making sense? Okay. On top of that, I'm going to talk briefly about AI. So that's a personal opinion, but I do come across too many people that believe AI is magic. Whatever the data you give it, you're going to understand it all, make sense of it, and find the needle in the haystack. My gut feeling and my strong opinion, it's more than a gut feeling, no. AI can't do any magic. The better the data you have, the more magic AI can do. And I'll go one step further. The more semantic you have in your data, the better AI can do. Coming back to our point of the business transaction, if you have the traditional kind of data where you have silos, where you don't know who called you, who you called, you don't have the flow, the view chain, you just have, this is my database, this is my this is my that, it's super hard for any AI to stitch the pieces together from disparate data coming from different environments. Whereas if you have natively from the capture stage that full flow, this called these, who called this, and this is the flow, like kind of an X-ray view. If you have the full technical context around it, this was the code executed, this was the database call. If you have the full user context, that was the user, he's a platinum user, he was trying to do that, that was the ticket, the plane, the whatever, that's a gold mine for AI. It's not only a gold mine for humans, as we discussed before, to make dashboards and understand and hone in quickly. But even from an AI standpoint, the more semantic, the cleaner the data, the better the outcome. Oh, I'm going way faster than I planned. Good, we're going to have time for questions. So what do we do with AI? So we call it cognition engine. And the first thing it can do is detect anomalies in what we call business transactions. So business transaction to us is kind of a business process, multiple steps. I click on my smartphone, it triggers a call to some cloud services to display some ads to some backend services, and then you've got a whole chain of millions of lines of code across thousands of servers that get triggered. That full chain of events, that full reaction, domino effect, avalanche, as you want to call it, that's what we call a BT, okay? So the AI looks at all the BTs and understands what normal looks like, the behavior. And as soon as something is off, like every Monday afternoon, the check deposit transaction takes 1.5 seconds. So the pattern can be pretty complex, right? It's not an average. If every Monday afternoon it takes 50% more time, it will not warn you because it takes, again, 50% more time. It's always been this way. Okay? So it's all about learning what normal looks like and just warning on when things go wrong, there's something different. The second thing it can do is tell you why this is happening from a technical standpoint that are roots. Okay? So I can see my business indicators go down. Is that because of technology? Yes, no, yes. Click. Oh, yeah, that stuff is going 5x slower because of that. Still with me so far? What else is of interest? I believe that's a key item often overlooked. It tells you why it came to that conclusion. I believe this happened because of that, because this is what I uncovered. This is what led me to make that recommendation. And that's key to build trust and to fine-tune the AI, to be honest. If it's a black box and you don't understand how it came to that conclusion, trust is a problem. If it deviates, and all AI deviates over time, you need to tweak them from time to time because things change. You need to know how it thinks and how it comes to these conclusions. And then the last steps, we can automate some mundane basic actions. So in the technical word, restarting something, spawning new servers to handle the load, stopping technical stuff, etc., etc. And we're going to grow in that. So my takeaway is this. I guess I'm ready to bet a coffee that most of you haven't heard of transaction tracing before. And I do believe it's a gold mine for many of our customers today to bring together that technical and business view in a semantic-rich context. And that's yet another goldmine for AI, since we have a solid data to base AI on. And that's it. Happy customers, love AI, love the kind of data. And then 4 minutes left, 5 minutes left for questions. Thank you.
Thank you.